Hi guys. So I just wanted to make this video today to talk about why you pull your hair out. I remember when I had trichotillomania, that was one of the questions that I asked myself probably on a daily or weekly basis was, why am I doing this? Why am I pulling my hair out? It was really confusing because I had no information on trichotillomania at all. I was totally in the dark, and my parents were in the dark too. I don't know if they did their research or, you know, they never really talked to me about it. So I don't know how much research they did or if they talked to doctors about it. They didn't tell me if they did. So I really had no information. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of tell you the truth about why you might be pulling your hair out. I think there's a difference between what the doctors say, and then there's a difference between your own intuition and what you think on the inside, your own beliefs as to why you might be pulling your hair out. I definitely think that there's a deeper thing that's happening in your body that is causing you to be pulling your hair out. And this goes for probably all of the behavioral disorders as well. This is not only talking about trichotillomania at this point, because when there's something compulsively happening inside of you, it's got to be because there's something deeper going on, a deeper issue that is coming from within. So one reason you might be pulling your hair out is because you know how to do it. And this is coming from a place where you know how to pull your hair out, but maybe there's something else happening in your life or in your past that you don't know how to do. You don't know how to deal with it, or you haven't dealt with this thing in the past, whatever that might be. So you know, as professionals might say, trichotillomania or any behavioral compulsive disorder might be caused from stress or anxiety or even trauma. And whereas I never went through anything super traumatic, a lot of my childhood, you know, probably caused a lot of anxiety in me, even though I was a child. You know, these things just weren't talked about in my family household. They were kind of taboo subjects that never got dealt with or talked about. And if they were talked about, it wasn't in a nice way. So I didn't really have any outlet for some of these unfortunate events that happened in my childhood. I kind of just had to deal with these things on my own. And so I didn't know how to do that. When you're that young, you don't know how to deal with these things. So that was, I think, a lot of the reason why I started pulling was because when I started pulling, it was something that I knew how to do. And so subconsciously, I found comfort in that sense of control that I had over that action. Even though I couldn't really control my body, my brain was being allowed to control something, you know. The next reason why you might be pulling your hair out is because you're not in your body. You're in your mind. You're in your head. When we pull, we are probably 90% of the time either thinking about the past, something that happened yesterday, maybe something, you know, a mean comment that somebody said to you, a mistake that you made, or an event that happened in your past at some point. You're thinking about those things still. They haven't been resolved. They haven't been dealt with, or you haven't let them go. Or we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about meeting somebody new the next day, and if they're going to say anything about you know, why you don't have hair. I know that's what I always thought about when I met new people was, oh, do they notice that I don't have eyelashes? Are they going to say something? It might be, you know, stressing about school, maybe work, a test, maybe stressing about being in a certain environment. I know my home environment wasn't always, you know, a civil environment. So there were days where I worried, like, what is it going to be like tomorrow? And I would avoid it when I could. When I got older, I was able to avoid my environment a little bit more by spending more time at friends' houses and that sort of thing. But these are things that I worried about. So I was always in my head. I was never in the present moment, in my body. You know, looking around me, just appreciating where I was. I was always thinking about the past or the future. And when I was thinking about the present, then I would realize that I was pulling, and then I would just feel, you know, disgust that I was doing it. It wasn't a good feeling in the present. And so that was another reason why I pulled. Now, the third reason, this is more of a technical, possibly scientific reason, but part of having a behavioral disorder, a compulsive behavioral disorder, is that at some point your brain has learned has learned this behavior, and nothing has told your brain that this behavior is wrong, or that, you know, you shouldn't do this. When you learned it, your brain learned that, oh, okay, this is fine. This is a good action to do. I should do this more. I know for a lot of people who develop trichotillomania, maybe some of the first experiences with pulling is associated with interest. Like when we pull our first few hairs, we say, this is interesting. I wonder what would happen if I pulled a few more. Or this feels strange, or this feels, you know, different. I think I'm going to try this again. And so our brain isn't told, like, oh, we shouldn't do this. And for many of us, we start when we're younger. So for me, I started when I was 6 years old. So I didn't know, you know, that it was good or bad when I started. You know, I was ignorant to a lot of to life at that time. When you're older, maybe if you develop this when you're, you know, a preteen or something like that, maybe you have an idea of right and wrong. You know, maybe you say, oh, nobody else is pulling, but I am, and that sort of thing. But I know for people who start when they're younger, we really just have no idea what's going on. I know I had no idea what was going on. And I didn't think it was something bad until my parents or my mom, you know, questioned me about it, and then, you know, went through all of these things to try to get me to stop, and nothing worked, of course. When you start, your brain doesn't tell you that it's right or wrong. It just does it without your consent. So this is why we pull without our bodily consent. It's because our brain is telling us to do this action that it thinks is okay. And and then we just continue to pull, and we're not able to stop. So the good thing is that we aren't born with this behavior. It's not like we are born and the minute that we, when we're a day old, we start pulling our hair out. It doesn't work like that. At some point along the line, we have learned this behavior. And for many of us, I mean, for all of us, we have learned this behavior in the blink of an eye, in an instant. It only took us a couple of minutes to learn this behavior. And so then then we can't stop, and then we question ourselves why, and we wonder, how can we stop? But the good news is that because this is a learned behavior, you can certainly unlearn this behavior. This is not something that you have to live with for the rest of your life. And you can stop as quickly as you started if you really want to. I cured myself within 2 months. And so, I have total faith that you could do the same thing. You can stop as soon as you want. I know many people, they try to stop. Maybe they stop for a few months and then it comes back, and then maybe they try again. They're able to stop for a half a year or a year, and then it comes back again. And when that happens, there is still something going on inside of those people who are not able to stop totally. There's still something that they're holding on to, or there's something that they're not dealing with, a deep-seated issue, an underlying issue that that is causing them to feel insecure with stopping the trick. Because when you feel secure in your life and in who you are and in your environment and your future and all these things, then you're not going to need to pull anymore. That behavior just becomes irrelevant, and then you're able to stop. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say on that. I hope that made sense to all of you. I'm still getting used to filming, so these videos are just going to get better over time. But anyway, that's all I have for you today. And I'll be posting more videos. If you have any questions, or if you want to reach out to me, feel free to do that. And I'll be seeing you all again very soon.